I might go here, shoot high, and then shoot low. Now in the next section of the form, I go the same movement, but then the next one is high. So it's dependent on what his reaction is. In other words, when I come in with that first one, and then I shoot that second one, if he goes up to block it, then naturally I'm in good position to go low. If instead, when I go with that first one, and he goes, and I go with that second one here, and he does not block it, that leaves this line open. Now, again, if I had gone here, and he stopped me in that situation, I could just go here, go high, and if that high line's open, go high. Or, here again, if I go in with the hit, and I go high, but this hand comes up to stop me, then I go low. So you just chamber depending on which way his hands are. Wherever his hands go, that's where your hands don't go. You want to go low when he goes up, and you want to go high when he goes down. Now, if you notice, also in that movement, I'm like this. I have this chambered movement like that. Now, there's a couple of ways of using that, too. One is in sticky hands. What I can do in sticky hands is open that line with my hand like that. So I just scoop it open and then go in with the hit. If we were closed and he shoots the punch in, again, I use that to open that low line for the strike. So I use it there. I can also use it against a tight hook or a round kick. Say my hand is fully extended and Gavin's going to use a tight hook to my ribs. There. So he wants to hit me there. I can use this to bang down on the forearm and finish him off with a number of different moves. And again, if that round kick were coming when my arm was extended, wham! I can use that backward cutting elbow to hit right into his shin and finish up. All right, next I'm going to talk about the Biu Jee. Biu Jee. So what I'm doing here is shooting 3 bius out about eye level using the fingers to shoot straight ahead on the center line. Now, some of the ways that I could use this, it really doesn't matter what he decides to do. In other words, what I could do is shoot bius out to attack, and if he blocks me, pull into one, pull into another. Or it could be that he blocked the first one and the second one, and I still pull into the third one. It could be that he blocked the first one, and then when I went for the second one, he blocked that, and I could shoot through that way. So there's another way. Now, if we were open, and I did the first one and he did a jam sao, then I could shoot through there, and then again here. Now, if I did the first one, he did jam, and then I shot through and he blocked it with the other hand, here, then I could shoot through there. So that's another way I could go. All right, next I'm going to talk about the long bridge spade palm. Now, you notice what happened here is I turned my body and then I whipped my arm, just using the shoulder and the wrist and a little bit of a twist. So it's another long bridge motion, but instead of using the wrist and fingers to close and get more power, I'm using a twist of the hand as well as a twist of the body and a torque to whip horizontally. Now, some of the times when I would use that might be, let's say if we were open and Gavin threw the back fist at me, after using the tan pak motion to stop that, I could go in with a long bridge hit to the throat. So you can see that my hand was extended here, and then I just shoot straight in. Now, in sticky hands, when Gavin goes to pull punch on me, here, once I've stopped it there, it's the same situation. I shoot in long bridge, and then again I have the trap. So slow motion, when he came in, I blocked, and then from here, just using a short pivot on my body and a long bridge hit, I go to attack. Now, sometimes in sticky hands, as I showed in an earlier tape, Gavin could do what's called kwak sao, spreading my hands and hit me in the body. So one of the ways at Biu Jee that you defend against such a motion is to run into a hit. Now, that works in single. Even if he just did the one hand and circled it, wham, you can run into that long bridge movement. Also from in close, anytime you're too close to get any real power, you can long bridge swing it out and swing out and around his guard to hit him. All right, another way I use the long bridge motion after the biu sao, almost straight out of the form, but in emergency situations, when I get headlocked. Say, for example, I'm locked up here. What I can do after softening him up with a flesh grab and a stomp is reach around, get a hold of his eye or flesh of his mouth or anything like that, pull him backwards, then shoot through biu sao, just like in the form, and then again, long bridge to attack there. Then you can just take that foot and down he goes. All right, another way to use this motion in conjunction with that little hip cock, that little chamber of the hip from earlier in the form. Say, for example, after the bong here, once I've hit down low to the body, and I'm very close to him in this situation, I can sort of use a little bit of that hip chamber and then wham, unload the long bridge attack here. Or again, from right here, I could just unload right in there with the long bridge hit. All right, next I'm going to talk about the double grab and pivot here with a long bridge double sim lapso. Now, what I normally do is use an extended grab when I want to pull the guy off balance diagonally. Now, in lapso, you've learned two different ways to grab as of yet. When the first one from the punch here, the regular way would be to pull him to your hip. The second way I showed you was to pull him across so that you could expose the ribs or you could leak underneath. Now, this way is the third way. From here, you pull him across to pull him off balance into another shot or to expose a different part of the body. So I use it there. Now sometimes in sticky hands, I use that double grab, just as it is in the form, to open them up diagonally here for a knee shot. So what I did from here is I just came out and around, double grab, knee, pulling him diagonally into the shot. Now, another way I like to use this movement is to pull him and expose his back. Say we were open and he threw a back fist at me. Once I stop that shot here, I can grab and pull him diagonally to expose the spine to a kick. So here again, I'd be here, kick, and then take that leg. All right, next I'm going to talk about the Gung Jee, the ginger fist. It's called that because the surface of it resembles the ginger root that's used a lot in Chinese cooking. The way the edge has that scalloped, sort of sharp, rounded edge to it. Now, one of the ways that I would use it straight out of the form would be to go from the diagonal pull here, which pulled them across, and then right through the body, just as in the form. Now, in the form, it's followed up by tansao, in this case as an iron palm strike. So again, straight out of the form, I could pull across, hit through, and then wham, bring that tansao down on the back of the neck as a strike. So that would be one of the ways we could use it. Now, other ways I'd like to use it, when we're real close, like a clinching situation, I can use it here to attack the body in that same manner that I talked about fuksao at Chun. You can use it as an adductive strike coming in towards the body in tight. If we were open and I was in tight here, I could use it there to the back here, or in here to the side of the neck. Now the same thing goes for the floor. It's one of those hits that comes toward the body, and it's more powerful used on the floor. Another way I like to use this movement, let's say we were open, and if Gavin was giving me the jab, with paksao here, I can use that to attack to the inside of the arm. So as it's coming into me, wham, I can attack here and kind of deaden the arm. Same thing against this punch. It's there and then attacks right in there. Now you could also slip in tight here and push that over and attack to the neck. Or with that one, slip over it and attack to the neck this way. So these are a couple of ways that you could use it. Now if we're closed and he gives me the jab, sometimes I'll use it here. And again, let's try it this way. He gives me the jab right there and attack to the throat with that edge of the hand. So you see as I'm pulling him in and attacking him here. All right, I want to talk a little more now about that tansao. So after whipping here, then whipping down to tan. That has that iron palm feel to it. What you try to do with your tansao here is to whip it so that you really get sort of a sizzle going with your hand. Now you use that in a number of different ways. Whereas in Siu Tao open, I would have gone bong, tan da, pot punch. At Chum Kiu level, or rather at Biu Jee level, I might go bong, tan as a hit. So I'd intercept that second punch with the other hand, leaving this open for the strike. Now this type of a hit with the back of your hand is using iron palm or a heavy hand. I might use it here when the jab comes. I could go and attack to the body here. Or if we were closed, I could use it from this type of a position across the back of the ribs or the back here. Like I said, the back here, this is the face, or across the temple. So you use a heavy-handed motion to attack different areas of the body with that iron palm strength. All right, next I want to talk about the pao jiang used here. So after the whip across, whip down, the pao jiang here, which is a lifting use of the forearm. Now there's a couple of ways I can use that. I use it as a forearm strike or just as a regular strike on the low level. Now using it straight out of the form again, the whole sequence. In the form, I went double pull here, then I could have used that earlier. Now if I use this as a hit, I could come up and use that same palm strike or down in the low line. So again, I could have pulled across here, hit, then hit here, and then wham, down on the low line. So that would be straight out of the form. Now another way I might use that is to bring a raising forearm power. So I use that in a couple of different ways. One would be, let's say we're open, and I get a hold of Gavin's, say that jab comes here, and I'm here like this. I can grab on here and then use this bang to pop underneath and hit with my forearm. Now I can use that right off of this pun gang style here just by popping. So I can jerk them in, and then when I get them jerked in, wham, hit them with the forearm. I'll also use that at times from the punch here. Once I've gotten him in this type of position, I can just pop my forearm up while holding his shoulder in the opposite direction. So I use my forearm here to hit. All right, next I'm going to talk about che sao, also called gum jang, pressing the elbow or retraction extension hand. There's a couple ways I use this. First off, after he jabs at me from Wong, I can use it to press down to get him into a downward position so that I can either hit him on the low line or kick him. Now, another time I can use it is just to attack the elbow. Same way here, and just hyperextend his elbow, pushing and pulling, or pushing and pulling him in so I can kick him. So there's one of the ways that I might use that. But the most important usage for che sao is on the ground. Anytime in ground fighting, when I can, what I try to do is use the ground as a weapon. So what I try to do is take the supporting limb and then smash. So here, I try to pull his hand out and smash the head. Or, again, I might take this limb and smash the head. Or, straight out of the form, take this limb and smash the arm down into the floor. So I use it that way. Now, if Gavin were, for example, trying to kick me somehow on the ground, I might take his foot and then smash that knee or smash the foot. And what I normally do then is step on that limb. Now, again, on all fours, sometimes I'll take and I'll step on this foot, and then I'll use that as a smash here, and then again, there's a break. And then there's a smash. There's another smash. So there's a number of different ways you can use that push-pull action on the floor. All right, next I'm going to talk about the diagonal punch, which to the beginner, it might look like it's a hook punch. In a way, it's like a hook, but I am not facing a person right in front of me and hooking through the target. What I'm actually doing is facing that direction that I'm punching in. And I use this type of a punch. I'll use it quite often in sticky hands or any other time when I'm in a T relationship with my opponent. In other words, when he's there, I have to punch across my body or across my body like this. I use that all the time. You'll see it a lot in the sticky hands tapes. I finish off with that punch quite a bit. So I use it anytime my body is in a T relationship with the opponent. Now, an example of another time I might use it, if Gavin had used jam sao against my jab here, I could run around to that punch, and again, I would use it here. So what I did was, when I felt that going in, I ran around, and there's the diagonal punch there, and then again, there it was. So it's the same kind of a punch each time with the run. Another time I used this with a press. Say, for example, his first jab came and I did bong. When the next one came, I used the Chum Q hyperextension. Then here, I'll push that down and go in with that diagonal punch. And there's another chance for using it right there. All right, next I'm going to talk about the whip into the Phoenix Eye, Fu Ngan Ku, which is a one-knuckle protruding punch. Now, you're bracing that knuckle with the thumb real tight so that it won't collapse. Now, you don't want to get the impression that you're always going to just hit with that one knuckle, although that one knuckle gets buried in deeper. Normally, I use the Phoenix Eye punch anytime when I'm in a punch situation. I just make that one knuckle protrude a little bit more. So, for example, my knuckles would still be hitting him in the face, but that one knuckle would go deeper into the target. Or I'd still punch him across the throat, but my one knuckle would get buried deeper into the target. It doesn't have to be this type of punch either. For example, I could mix it with chow kun, uppercut, and one knuckle going in deeper. Or chop kun, one knuckle could dig in deeper than the rest. So I use it that way. Now, if I want to blend it with, say, for example, fox sao, or inside whip or outside whip, what I can do is put that Phoenix Eye on the end. So, for example, I could go upwards and attack with my knuckle here, or this way, or whipping that way, with one knuckle stabbing deeper into the target. But again, all the knuckles hitting. All right, next I'm going to talk about the chum sun, or sinking the body, where I reach down and then come up. Okay, let's just talk about the part where I go down first. Sinking down here, but I try to look up as much as I can while I reach downwards. Now that's to simulate a couple things. One is that brings the forward headbutt into play. So I use headbutts like all the time. I use headbutts anytime I hit here, I can headbutt there. Or sometimes I like to get both hands and headbutt like this. So I use headbutts in a number of different ways like that. So the forward headbutt is something that's constantly being used in Wing Chun. Now besides the forward headbutt, you also have the idea of ducking. It means that in Wing Chun you're not expected to stand there and take the shot. If all else fails, you're allowed to duck. An example of when you might want to duck would be, let's say he gets me in the stupid trap and he's about to hit me. Well, I could duck up underneath it. There's nothing that says I can't sort of bob and weave like a boxer would. So that's one of the other applications is ducking. It could even be in an emergency situation. If I'm getting a guy that's about to kick me in the head with that round kick, I could duck underneath that and then get him from the other side. Wham! So there's a lot of ways you could use the ducking motion. All right, next I want to talk about getting up with the Wui Sun motion. So once I've sunken down, I throw my hands up first to get up. So like I'm down here, and I throw the hands and then stand up, like casting, like throwing a fishing line. And what I'm doing is I'm using the weight of my arms swinging to help me get up. So if, for example, I was in trouble, like I've been hit, it helps me stand up when my legs are a little bit weak. Now, getting up that way could also be a backwards headbutt. So, for example, when a bear hug is applied here, what I like to do is headbutt backwards and hit the guy in the face with my head. Then I'll stop, kick backwards, whatever it takes to get loose. But the first thing I do is use my head backwards to butt him. Now, another way that I use that getting up with my hands first is to protect my head when I've been knocked down. See, what you don't want to do when you've been knocked down is you don't want to get up with your head first because you end up getting hit. The first thing the guy's going to do is hit or kick you in the head when you're down. So they're telling you to get up with a protective umbrella over your head. So if I'm down and Gavin goes to hit me, I get up and I can go into a lock with that swinging motion. Even if the other hand was coming, I can get up and go into a lock. So slowly, what I'm doing is getting up and throwing my hands up to keep me from getting hit. And then I'm using a lock. Or against the other hand, I'm getting up, hands overhead to protect my face before going into the lock. All right, next I'm going to go into the getting up with the kick, which is similar to the other two applications, but just adding the foot element. Now again, if I were down, I'd want to get up with my hands first and then get up to a kick. Or against the other hand, I'd want to get up hands first to a kick, so I could use it that way. Now, if the guy were trying to kick me, also after having punched me, with either hand, once I get up here, I could stop that kick and then go in. So I could use it that way. Now, it's also telling me that it's most likely that when we get up, we're going to use the opposite hand and foot. One hand extended, the opposite foot. That's for balance. In other words, let's say that we're closed. What I want to do, they're telling me, is that when a punch comes, I want to use the opposite hand and foot to stop it. The reason being, it's balanced. If I try to do both on the same side, I tend to lose my balance under pressure. So when there's a punch coming in, you don't want the same side. Now, the exception to that rule, for example, if I had done tanda here, it's okay on the second syllable to use the same side. That's because I'm not under any pressure. There's nothing that's knocking me backwards. So I can do this, but I would not want to do that. That would knock me back too easily. Now, another idea about using the opposite hand and foot is I'm using the Biu Jee to deflect so that he goes off to the side. In other words, I'm not trying to stop him dead. I'm just trying to push him off the line and let him go. This teaches me to borrow power from the hands and put it into the feet so that he walks into the shot. What I'm doing is deflecting him, but letting his power come into my foot so I can use it that way. All right, now in the Chum Q form, I was talking about Biu Jee by itself. So when Gavin's hands were up, I showed you how to probe and then go in for your shot. Well, in Biu Jee, they have the same thing, but as you're probing, you're also kicking.